He grabbed her chest in front of me, like I wasn't even there. I stood in the doorway, still holding the grocery bag I'd picked up on the way home. My keys dangled from my fingers. My brain didn't register what I was seeing for a full 5 seconds. Then it hit. My wife, Rachel, was standing in our kitchen, in my t-shirt, letting her boss fondle her like she was some trophy he'd just won at a charity auction. Her smile didn't drop. Her eyes didn't even flick toward me. It was like I was a ghost in my own house. And then Bradley, the smug bastard in a designer shirt, turned to me and grinned like we were buddies catching up after a golf game. "You know," he said, lifting his wine glass, "your wife is incredible in bed." I figured I'd reward that talent with a promotion. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it echo through the kitchen tiles. Rachel just laughed, like this was some kind of twisted comedy. She leaned on the counter and sipped her wine without shame, without hesitation, without any respect for me or the years we'd spent building a life. "What's wrong, Nate?" she said casually, like she was talking about the weather. "You always said I should be more ambitious." "You serious?" I choked out, my voice low and sharp. She smirked, walking toward him, not me, and rested her hand on his chest. "Bradley sees potential in me. More than you have in years." That was the moment I realized, this wasn't just a one-time mistake. This was planned. Practiced. Rehearsed. They'd probably laughed about this moment, wondered how I'd react, maybe even took bets. "You're standing in our kitchen, letting this clown feel you up like I don't exist," I said, clenching my fists. Bradley cut in, cocky as ever. "Nate, buddy. Relax. It's not like she's yours anymore." "And Rachel?" She actually nodded. "It's true. You've been boring lately. Emotionally draining. Always working, always tired." Bradley brings out the fun in me. The bag in my hand hit the floor. Apples rolled across the tiles. I didn't even notice. "You slept with him?" I asked, needing her to say it out loud. She tilted her head. "What does it matter now?" I should have yelled. I should have punched him. But something else took over, focus. Everything slowed down. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just hurt. I was done. And when a man's done, there's a special kind of calm that sets in. Dangerous calm. "I hope you both enjoyed it," I said. "Because this was your last performance." Bradley scoffed, like I was bluffing. Rachel raised her eyebrow, like she still had the upper hand. They had no clue I'd already installed cameras 3 weeks ago when I suspected something. No clue I'd already sent the footage to a lawyer. No clue their little affair was about to become very public, HR complaints, legal consequences, and a full-scale reputation massacre. But I didn't tell them. Not yet. Let them enjoy the wine. Instead, I turned and walked away, cool, quiet, lethal. That was the night everything changed. That was the night I stopped being the good guy. You don't want to believe the person you love is cheating. Your mind works overtime trying to justify the weird moments, the cold replies, the phone flipped screen down on the table every night. You tell yourself she's tired. Stressed. Work's been hard. Maybe you've just been distant. But deep down, that voice in your gut never shuts up. For me, that voice started whispering 2 months before I found Rachel in the kitchen with Bradley. It began with little things. The way she started wearing perfume to casual meetings. Her workouts got longer, her showers got hotter. She bought new lingerie, and never wore it for me. But when I asked, she always had some dismissive excuse. "It's just for me," she'd say, rolling her eyes. "Can't I feel sexy without making it about you?" Fair. Sure. Logical even. Until you stack it up with everything else. Like the night she came home at 2 a.m. saying she was stuck, prepping a pitch, with her team. Her hair was tousled, her lipstick smudged, and she reeked of a cologne I didn't wear. I asked her about it. She looked me dead in the eye and lied. You're being paranoid. Nate. Do you hear yourself? I'm not one of your employees, you don't get to interrogate me. That's when I started digging. I wasn't planning revenge yet, I was still hoping I was wrong. So I went quiet. I stopped asking. I started watching. I bought a pair of discreet cameras. One went in the living room, another in the hallway outside the bedroom. I figured if I was crazy, I'd find nothing and put it all to rest. But I wasn't crazy. First footage came back the night I was at a late meeting. Rachel was supposed to be out with friends. The timestamp said 8:47 p.m. Bradley showed up. They kissed in the hallway, like they owned the place. Then they went into the bedroom. I watched her lead him by the belt. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching the minutes crawl by while she lay next to me, peacefully snoring, dreaming of whatever lies she was building next. That was the moment I stopped seeing her as my wife. The woman beside me wasn't the girl I married. She was a stranger with my ring on her finger and someone else's hands on her body. The next morning, she made pancakes like nothing happened. Kissed me on the cheek, called me honey. I wanted to vomit. I knew confronting her too early would give her a chance to spin it. Cry, manipulate, twist the narrative. I couldn't let that happen. I needed a plan. Not just to end it, but to destroy it. To make sure Bradley paid for touching what wasn't his. To make sure Rachel's betrayal didn't just fade away like a stupid mistake. So I made copies. Sent the footage to a secure drive. Hired a private investigator, told him to dig deep, emails, hotel check-ins, office gossip. I wanted every thread pulled. And while that played out behind the scenes, I acted normal. I smiled. I played dumb. I even bought her flowers one night just to sell the illusion. She posted a selfie holding them, captioned it, "Lucky to be loved." The hypocrisy would have been funny if it didn't feel like a knife twisting in my ribs. And then came that Friday. I got a text from her saying she'd be working late. Again. I knew what that meant. I headed home early. And found them drinking wine in my kitchen. Laughing. Touching. Celebrating. She thought she'd won. She thought I'd crumble. But all she did was light the fuse. I didn't sleep that night. After walking out of the kitchen and slamming the door behind me, I sat in my car in the driveway for 2 hours. Just, breathing. Staring at the dashboard. My hands gripped the wheel so tight they went numb. I was afraid to go back in, not because of her, but because I didn't trust myself not to explode. Rachel didn't text. Didn't call. Didn't even check to see if I was alive. At 3 a.m., I finally walked back into the house. She was asleep. In our bed. Alone. Sheets barely covering her. Like nothing had happened. I stood there for a long time, watching her breathe. The moonlight spilled across her face. Peaceful. Innocent. A goddamn illusion. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. Not yet. I waited until morning. When she walked into the kitchen and saw me sitting at the table with coffee, her expression didn't change. She had the nerve to smile. "Did you sleep in your car again?" she asked, yawning. "You know that's bad for your back." I looked up. Calm. Steady. "Why don't you tell me what really happened last night?" She blinked. Just once. Then scoffed. "Oh my God, are you seriously still on this?" I didn't say a word. Just tapped my phone screen and hit play. The video started. The one from 3 nights ago, her and Bradley in the hallway, kissing, whispering, fumbling toward the bedroom like horny teenagers with no shame. Her face drained of color. I paused the video before it got graphic. "That was 3 nights ago," I said coldly. "Last night you were just bold enough to make it a dinner date." Rachel stared at me. Lips parted. Eyes wide. "Say something," I growled. But she didn't say sorry. She didn't break down. She laughed. Like I was the one being ridiculous. Okay, fine, she said, folding her arms. Yes. I've been seeing Bradley. You want a medal for figuring it out? That laugh, it hit harder than any punch could have. I pushed back from the table and stood up. You let him touch you like a damn toy, in our kitchen. So, she said with a shrug. You've been checked out for years, Nate. You think bringing home takeout and doing the dishes counts as passion? I stepped closer. You cheated on me. You bored me, she snapped. You used to be exciting. Now you're just, there. A paycheck. A routine. And I needed more. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You think this is my fault? She walked past me, grabbing her coffee cup like we were in some normal morning routine. I think if you were doing your job as a husband, maybe I wouldn't have needed to go find someone who actually made me feel alive. That was it. That was when my last shred of sympathy turned to steel. You're a liar. And a coward. You didn't even have the guts to leave first. She looked at me and smiled. Because I didn't have to. You never would have left me. You're too comfortable. I leaned in close, my voice low and sharp. You're right about one thing. I was too comfortable. But that's over. You're done here. She raised an eyebrow. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer. Not then. Because the next phase had already begun. You don't warn a snake before you cut off its head. That morning, after Rachel poured herself coffee like nothing happened, I walked upstairs, shut the bedroom door behind me, and sat at my desk. I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm. Controlled. The kind of calm that only comes when you've crossed the point of no return and there's nothing left to lose. I pulled up the footage I'd collected, every hallway kiss, every whispered phone call, the timestamps from when she told me she was working late. And then I compiled it. Edited it into one seamless reel of betrayal. Next, I opened an email. To HR Department, Lexington and Hayes. Subject, Immediate Review, Breach of Conduct, CEO Bradley Hayes. I attached the video, added a short, factual paragraph about workplace abuse of power, inappropriate relations, and the fact that I was Rachel's husband, Bradley's subordinate by 1 degree of separation. I blind copied it to the board of directors. Send. It was out of my hands now. And that was only step 1. Rachel worked for the same company. She thought the affair gave her leverage. That she was climbing. She didn't realize she was on a ladder soaked in oil, and I'd just lit a match. While the emails went through, I packed a bag. Not mine, hers. Tossed her designer clothes into a suitcase like garbage. I took the ring she left on the nightstand and tossed it in on top. Slammed it shut. She came upstairs just as I was zipping it. Are you serious right now? She said, arms crossed, voice high with mock outrage. You've got 30 minutes, I said, not even looking at her. You can stay with your boss. Nate, she laughed. You're not kicking me out of my house. This is my house. You want to go legal? I'd love that conversation. Just keep in mind whose name's on every bill and who's been keeping this roof over your head while you played office mattress. She blinked. Her mouth opened and closed. And for the first time, I saw something that wasn't smug confidence, fear. You're just mad. You'll calm down, she said, softer now. Let's talk. No more talking, I said, stepping closer. You disrespected me in my home, lied to my face, and dragged our marriage through the dirt for some smug corporate predator. Rachel's tone turned icy. You don't scare me. I don't need to, I replied. But I guarantee you, your boss is scared right now. Her eyes narrowed. What did you do? I held up my phone. Check your inbox. She went pale. Actually pale. She snatched her own phone off the dresser and started scrolling, her eyes darting faster and faster. Then she stopped breathing for a second. Her hand fell to her side. You didn't. I did. Silence. Then she dropped the phone and screamed. You just ruined everything. I smiled. You started it. I'm just finishing it. She tried begging. Said I was overreacting. Claimed she was just confused and needed something different and it didn't mean anything. But I didn't care. I wasn't looking for apologies. I was cleaning house. The car ride to her sister's place was silent. She didn't thank me for the ride. Didn't even shut the door properly. Just grabbed her suitcase and stormed off like she was the victim. I sat there, watching her go, and all I could think was, she thought I'd never leave. That I'd keep being her safety net while she burned everything down. She had no idea I'd light the rest of it on fire myself. 3 days after the email went out, the fallout started. I didn't hear from Rachel, but I didn't need to. The whispers began at her office almost instantly. An emergency meeting. HR launched an internal review. Bradley's name was suddenly removed from every company memo. The man who once strutted into boardrooms like he owned the air was now dodging questions and canceling meetings. One of my friends who worked in accounting texted me. Yo, did you hear? Bradley's getting grilled hard. Something about inappropriate relations with a subordinate. He looks like he's aged 10 years overnight. I smiled. By the end of the week, he was placed on indefinite leave. 2 board members resigned. Rachel's name was quietly removed from upcoming projects. She was encouraged to take unpaid leave while HR sorted out the mess. No one said it, but everyone knew, they were both radioactive. And me? I didn't brag. I didn't gloat. I just watched. While they scrambled to save face, I started rebuilding mine. I hit the gym again. Not out of vanity, out of focus. Out of fury. I needed to channel the storm. I got leaner, stronger, clearer. I booked a session with a divorce lawyer, a ruthless one. The kind that smiled when I handed over the videos and email chains and laid out the timeline. You'll walk away with everything, she told me, flipping through the evidence. This is a textbook betrayal. Judges hate textbook betrayals. Good. Because I wanted Rachel to feel the cost of her games. She texted once. Just once. We need to talk. It doesn't have to end this way. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. Her actions spoke louder than any excuse she could type. I wasn't stupid. I knew some people would call me cold. Petty. Over the top. Let them. I didn't care about being the bigger person. That only works when both sides play fair. Rachel brought a knife. I brought a match. One night, I got a call from her sister, Emily. She was always the neutral one, stayed out of the drama. Look, she said, Rachel's a mess. She's not eating. She got dropped from her team. Bradley blocked her number. She says you're out for blood. She's not wrong, I said. Do you even care anymore? I paused. Thought about it. I care that she's finally facing consequences, I answered. That's more mercy than she gave me. There was a long silence on the other end. Then Emily sighed. Honestly? She deserves it. Click. The next day, I closed our joint accounts. Had the locks changed. Transferred the utilities into my name. Cleaned out the house of anything that smelled like her. And when the papers were ready, I had them hand-delivered. No warning. No explanation. Just reality, signed and sealed. My therapist, yeah, I started seeing one, told me this was a process. That revenge wouldn't fix the betrayal. Maybe not. But it sure as hell made things clearer. It wasn't about getting even. It was about reclaiming control. Rachel shattered the rules. So I wrote new ones. Bradley was forced to resign 2 weeks later. Personal reasons. His wife left him the same day. Filed a public statement. Took the kids. Burned his reputation to the ground with a single sentence. Bradley Hayes put his ego before his family. He broke more than vows, he broke trust. Poetic, really. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. Some victories are best served in silence. There's a strange kind of silence that follows chaos, not peace, but emptiness. The adrenaline fades, the war is over, and suddenly you're alone in a house that doesn't echo the same way anymore. The walls still look the same, but the soul of the place? Gone. Stripped out with her perfume, her fake smiles, and her betrayal. I remember the first Saturday after Rachel was gone. I didn't wake up to her fake cheerful voice pretending we were still okay. I didn't smell pancakes she only ever made for Instagram posts. I didn't hear her laugh at her phone while texting her boss. It was quiet. Too quiet. At first, I hated it. It reminded me that for years, I had loved someone who could smile at me in the morning after spending the night in another man's bed. It made me feel like an idiot. Like I'd been the punchline of a joke I didn't know I was part of. I didn't talk much to friends. Most didn't even know the full story, just that Rachel and I were going through something. I couldn't stand the looks they gave me. Pity. Confusion. Like I'd been robbed in daylight and they didn't know whether to call the cops or just say, "Tough break." But I didn't need their sympathy. I needed to rebuild. So I started with the basics. Got rid of every piece of furniture Rachel had picked out. Sold it all on Craigslist in one weekend. Strangers walked out with chairs and lamps and vases that had no idea they were accessories to betrayal. Then I repainted. Room by room. New colors, bold ones, no more neutrals, no more beige walls that matched Rachel's fake personality. I chose deep blues, stormy grays. Tones that reminded me who I was now, sharp, not soft. I picked up boxing again. Not cardio classes or YouTube tutorials. Real, gritty sparring. Gloves. Bags. Sweat that stung your eyes and blood that reminded you you're still alive. First time I landed a clean hit on a pad, my trainer grinned. "You've got some fire in you." "You have no idea," I muttered. I also started reading again. Stuff I'd given up on when I was too busy trying to make things work. Philosophy. Psychology. Books on betrayal, masculinity, strength. Not self-help fluff, real tools. I was sharpening my mind the way I was sharpening my fists. And yeah, I went on a few dates. Nothing serious. Mostly just to see if I could still feel something. Some were nice. One even reminded me what it was like to be looked at with actual interest instead of thinly veiled resentment. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. Trust wasn't just broken, it had been pulverized. I didn't want a new relationship. I wanted to understand the damage first. One night, I found a letter she'd written. Rachel. Stuffed in an old journal I almost threw away. Dated 6 months before everything fell apart. Sometimes I think I don't love Nate anymore. He's safe, reliable, but I miss excitement. I don't know if that makes me a bad person or just honest. She knew. She was already slipping, already planning her exit, even while sleeping in my bed. That page? I ripped it out. Burned it in the kitchen sink. Not out of anger, out of clarity. It was her confession. But it wasn't mine to carry anymore. That night, I slept with the windows open, no pills, no distractions. For the first time in months, maybe years, I actually slept. Because I knew I wasn't broken anymore. I was becoming something else. Something stronger. 3 months passed before I saw Rachel again. It was a Saturday, early evening, and I was coming out of the gym, drenched in sweat, headphones in, world off. The moment I stepped onto the sidewalk, I saw her, leaning against her car, arms crossed, trying to look casual. She'd lost weight. Or maybe it was just the weight of the lies finally dragging her down. She looked tired. No makeup. No jewelry. Her hair tied back in a lazy bun. And for the first time since I met her, she looked small. I pulled out my earbuds. What do you want? She flinched at the bluntness. To talk. No. Nate. You had years to talk. You used them to lie. She stepped closer. Please, just 10 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I almost walked past her. Almost. But something stopped me. Maybe it was closure. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the need to see if she still had the same poison behind her smile. We sat in my car. I didn't even turn the engine on. I lost everything, she started, voice barely a whisper. The job, the apartment. Bradley cut me off the second things went public. Said I was a liability. My friends, our friends, they don't call anymore. My sister won't even let me stay over. And you? She trailed off. Looked at me, searching for something in my face. You're doing better. I am, I said flatly. And you're not here for closure. You're here because karma doesn't hold hands. Her eyes welled up. For once, they weren't crocodile tears. Maybe they were real. I didn't care. I made a mistake, Nate, she said. I got lost. I thought I wanted more, but you wanted attention, I cut in. And you got it. Now you're choking on it. Silence. Cold and sharp. I miss you, she said. I miss the idea of you, I replied. But the real you? I buried her the day you let another man touch you in our kitchen like I didn't exist. She wiped her eyes, biting her lip. Can we ever start again? I actually laughed. No, Rachel. We can't start again. We can't even be in the same story anymore. She stared at me, that old manipulative glint starting to flicker again. You don't mean that. I leaned in, eyes locked to hers. I do. Because the man you betrayed doesn't live here anymore. He died the night you toasted wine with your lover in my home. She inhaled sharply, like she'd been slapped. I hope you find peace, I said. But don't look for it in me. I opened the door. She didn't move. I'm not your home, Rachel. I was your shelter. You lit it on fire. You don't get to be shocked when you're standing in the cold. She stepped out of the car slowly, shaking. Whether from guilt or regret, I didn't know. Didn't care. As she walked away, I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel bitter. I just felt done. Done carrying her lies. Done playing the nice guy. Done hoping she'd change. I drove home with the windows down. The air was cool, the music loud, and for once, the silence in my chest was comfortable. She came for closure. I gave her clarity. And I walked away whole. People always say time heals everything. That's not true. Time doesn't heal betrayal. Work does. Pain does. Self-respect does. And maybe most of all, letting go. 6 months have passed since the day I watched Rachel disappear down the street for the last time. Since then, I haven't looked back. Not once. Because the man I was, the one who bent until he broke just to keep her happy, he's dead. And I buried him with the marriage certificate. Now, I'm sharper. Leaner. Not just physically, but emotionally. My mind doesn't spiral at night anymore. I don't wake up questioning my worth. I don't replay the footage. I don't ask why she did it. Because here's the thing, cheaters always have reasons. They're just excuses dipped in perfume and ego. What I ask myself now is different. What did I learn? Who did I become? For starters, I became someone with boundaries. With standards. With the backbone to walk away when respect gets traded for convenience. I don't romanticize loyalty anymore, I expect it. If you can't give that, you don't get a seat at my table. I also learned that revenge isn't about screaming or smashing things. Real revenge? It's rebuilding so well that they don't even recognize the man they tried to destroy. It's success that burns slow and steady, not because you need them to see it, but because you deserve to feel it. I didn't just survive what Rachel did to me. I outgrew it. Last week, I saw her name pop up on social media. A comment on some mutual friend's post. Her profile picture was just a flower now. No new photos. No smiling couple shots. Just silence. Disappeared from the world she used to flaunt. No more curated lies. No more pretending. I clicked on it. Just for a second. Then I blocked her. Not out of anger. Out of peace. Because the truth is, the man I am now wouldn't even look twice at her. Not even a glance. And that realization, that quiet, powerful indifference, is worth more than all the closure in the world. To anyone who's ever felt what I did, who sat at the edge of a bed beside someone who lied to their face and smiled while doing it, let me say this. You're not weak for loving deeply. You're not foolish for trying to make it work. But you are powerful the moment you choose yourself. Don't wait for apologies that won't come. Don't wait for them to understand what they destroyed. Leave the ashes. Rebuild from the stone beneath it. You'll hurt. Hell, you'll feel like pieces of you were stolen. But if you use that pain, if you sharpen it, mold it, channel it, it becomes something else. Armor. Not walls. Not bitterness. Armor. And when the day comes, and it will, when you look in the mirror and realize you're no longer carrying the weight they dumped on you, you'll smile. Not because you forgave them. Not because you forgot. But because they lost the best thing they ever had. And you? You finally remembered who you are.